Hi guys and welcome back to the Bike Cave. I'm so excited today as I'm going to share with you my new bike tool project, and if you have already read the title, you do know the reason for my excitement. It's time to design and manufacture my take on the best wheel touring stand ever made. So long story short, I have 3 bikes and for the past year I ride just my GC Varial. I really enjoy riding pure trials and for the time being I consider myself a bike trials focused rider. Nevertheless, it would be great if I could ride my other bikes once in a while, just for its age. However, last year I broke the front hub of my street trials bike, and although I got a replacement hub as soon as possible, I didn't rebuild the wheel as I wanted to push myself to actually develop and make the XC cycling touring stand. Also, last November I got the pivot point so as to build a more versatile bike, but once again I do not ride it as I have to rebuild its wheels. So, having my competition trials bike always in good condition, I wasn't in a rush to fix the other bikes, and also I had plenty of time to develop and build the best wheel touring stand ever. Actually, this project was something I wanted to do for quite long, but I was kept postponing it as having a wheel touring stand is not a must-have to keep your wheels true or even build a new wheel for your bike. Actually, my first video on this channel was about the creation of my favorite tool for wheel touring, which is my custom wheel touring dial indicator holder. And so, having this custom tool to keep my bike trials wheels true and well maintained, I wasn't in a hurry to quickly develop and build my custom wheel touring stand. Also, on my video about my wheel touring routine, I had shown you that you can make your wheels true even if you just have a zip tie as an indicator for the out of trueness of your rim. So, if you want to work on your wheels and keep them maintained, not having a wheel touring stand is not an excuse. But let's get back to the main topic of this video, and as I've already mentioned, I wanted to build the best wheel touring stand ever. And so I started thinking about the specs I wanted for the ideal wheel touring stand, considering of course my wheel touring routine. Having done my market research in the past for the commercially available wheel touring stands, I've seen that there are some quite good models out there, but I wanted to make something different and unique. I wanted to build a stand that would be both beautiful and functional, while being as simple and as sturdy as possible. And of course, as the old saying goes, the best design is the simplest one that works. Having sketched a lot of concepts over the years that I had this project on my mind, it was about time to evaluate them and decide on the best one for my needs. After that, I started working on the actual design of the XC wheel touring stand, and for that, I made a virtual prototype using Fusion 360. Next, it was time to manage the manufacture of the individual parts utilizing CNC machining processes to ensure the level of precision I wanted. The majority of the parts were made out of 6000 series aluminum alloy and paired nicely with some steel parts. After the machining of the parts, it was time for some final touches, and so I polished everything before the aluminum parts get anodized and the steel ones get blackened. But let's take some time to check out the parts at this stage. They are so beautiful, and at that point I couldn't wait to send them out for their surface treatment and assemble everything together. So now that you know the background of this project, I proudly present you the XC cycling touring stand. Almost everything that is black is made out of steel, and the aluminum parts got this beautiful gold anodized finish. My main objective when I was designing this wheel touring stand was to make it as sturdy as possible, as I really like the feeling I get when I maintain my wheels while they are mounted on my bike. Also, it was designed to be compatible with any currently available hub standard and wheel size, while it's flexible enough to get adapted to future updates on the standards of both the sizes of the wheels and the configurations of the hubs. Moreover, as you can see, the XC cycling touring stand was designed to be used with dial indicators, as I think that using dial indicators to maintain your wheels makes it much more convenient and gives you a direct measurable feedback of the out of trueness of the rim. But enough with the presentation of the XC cycling touring stand, and let's celebrate this project by building a wheel. As I told you in the beginning, I have 5 wheels to build to make all my bikes ride ready again. But today I'm going to build a new rear wheel for my GC Varial, as the rim I currently have is in such a bad shape that I cannot make it as true as I want it to be. In the meantime, and while I'm preparing my wheel, I would like to know what are your first impressions of the XC cycling touring stand. Did you like it? Please let me know in the comment section below. But let's get back to the wheel build, and for this one I'm going to rebuild my spare rear wheel that had been damaged last year. I always try to have available in my personal stock as many parts as I can for my bikes because I want to make sure that once something breaks, I can replace it as soon as possible. In that case, I had a new rim and I'm going to reuse the hub and the spokes of my old wheel. However, I'm going to use brand new spoke nipples as they really make a difference when you build a new wheel and they're not very expensive. spoke nipples are made out of aluminum, and as we've discussed in a previous video, aluminum is quite prone to fatigue. Steel spokes on the other hand are much more durable, and that's why I'm going to reuse them for this wheel build. If you have watched my video on how to build the strongest wheel for trials, you may remember that I use spoke nipple washers to better distribute the spoke forces on the nipple area, and I'm so satisfied with the fact that the wheel is getting so much stronger, being able to withstand some serious abuse while riding. For this wheel I'm going to use some custom made spoke nipple washers I made for that reason. Last time I used these already commercially available nipple washers, but I had to make them flat, and to be frank with you, I didn't like their shape for my application. So I got these custom made nipple washers that are designed to efficiently distribute the spoke tension load around the nipple hole without adding any significant extra weight. So for a full set of 32 nipple washers, the extra weight will be just 6.8 grams instead of 9.6 grams for the ones I was using before. If you are interested in them, I've got some great news coming up soon. So keep in touch by subscribing or following me and XC Cycling on social media. Also at that point, and before I proceed with the wheel truing and tensioning, I want to share with you a cool bike hack that will let your wheels live a little longer without breaking any spokes or without poking any inner tubes when your wheel starts to buckle. So I'm sure that if you ride trials, you may have been in a situation that you get a flat spot on your rim, or generally the wheel gets out of round. In that case, you may think that the solution is to put some tension back to the spokes around that area, and that is correct. But the more you tension the spokes, the more they tend to come to the other side of the spoke nipple, causing potential pokes on the inner tubes. But this is not the main problem that is caused by screwing your spoke nipples too much, as this can be solved by cutting down the protruding spoke threads using a sturdy wire cutter or a dedicated spoke cutter. The actual problem is that in such cases the nipples are threaded too close to the end of the usable threads of the spokes, and this may lead to broken spokes. This can be solved either by replacing the spokes with shorter ones or by using extra nipple washers, similar to what I'm doing on my old wheel, and although it's way out of round, I haven't broken a spoke or poked my inner tube during my wheel's lifespan. Note that you don't have to use actual nipple washers for this one, as they are too thin for that job. Simple metric washers are good enough, and as you can see, there are many spots around my wheel that I have used this trick. I hope that you found this bike hack quite useful, but I'm curious about your approach whenever you get in such position that your wheel is out of round and you have to tension your spokes. Now back to today's wheel build, and it's time to mount this laced and initially tensioned wheel on the XC Cycling truing stand. I know that my opinion is quite biased, but it looks so good, and believe me, it feels so sturdy. I just love it. Another feature of the XC Cycling truing stand is that you can dish any wheel without using any tool or removing the wheel from the truing stand so as to change its orientation. Given that the stanchions of the truing stand are perfectly vertical to the base and their thickness is the same, I can simply use the depth gauge of my calipers to make sure that the wheel is dished, and so I can finish this wheel build without removing the wheel from the truing stand. Actually, I like the wheel being tightened to the stanchions of the truing stand, as this makes everything so much sturdier and easier to work with, similar to when I maintain my wheels while being mounted on my bike. So after a while my new wheel is well tensioned, perfectly true, and I'm ready to grind its braking surfaces and mount it on my bike. If you want to check out my wheel building routine, you can watch the relevant video I made a couple of years ago, and you'll find the link to the video in the description below. I'm so proud of the XC Cycling truing stand, as it's something that took me so much thought and effort to develop. If you want to learn more about this one, you can visit the XC Cycling website, and soon it will be available via another ambitious project I'm running in the background for a while. But enough for today's video, and I really hope that you also like the XC Cycling truing stand, and be sure that you are going to see more of it in the future, as I have 4 more wheels to build, and I have an interesting story for each wheel along with some more bike hacks for you guys. If you have made it to that point of the video, it means that you probably like the XC Cycling truing stand, and so I would appreciate it if you could share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks so much for subscribing and watching, and until next time, have fun riding your bikes and make sure that your wheels are always well maintained.